Hello, hello, Otafest podcast. This is Angelo with Season 10, Episode 14, and I am here with Jay Wong.
That's me. That's my name. It's not even my government name.
It is not your government name,
Yeah,
but that's okay.
you'll never know.
No, I know.
Even the
I know what
government
it
doesn't
is.
know.
You've e-transferred me once or something like that.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
The financial institutions.
Of all the names it could have been, I didn't expect that one.
Yes.
Oh my god. Sometimes it seems like you have too much free time, you know what I mean? In this busy world of ours, sometimes the days slow down for a little bit and you take your time, you clean the house, you do your hobbies, maybe you watch things on YouTube, but over the course of the day or maybe 2 or 3 days, the YouTube content drip feeds less and less interesting things to you. The games on Steam seem less and less exciting, and you have trouble deciding on what to do. Has that ever happened to you, Jay? Where you just run out of things to do?
I mean, it's Christmas time-ish, so not as often in this period, but yes, I think it happens to everybody. And then you're stuck going like, what old interests can I dig up? What are the steadfast, hobbies I can partake in? There are things like for some people, I think it's like movie marathons, right? Like Lord of the Rings marathon. That'll take up, you know, a day if you're strong, 2 days, 3 days for everybody else.
Yeah, especially if you go with the extended cut. Oh my god.
Exactly. You have, I guess, maybe books. I wish I read more books. I used to read so many books, and I really don't anymore because I just read things on the internet so much. Everybody knows about my internet reading addictions and preferences, so don't have to go on about that. But I think my big pitfall when it comes to not having any other things to do in so much free time and no new content. Sometimes my favorite streamers, they're not streaming on the day that I have time. So what do? I dip into retro game, classic games from my childhood. I've been I've had this weird obsession recently with several things, but it kind of goes down a path. So this
Okay.
was just like last week, where it began. I was just like, I have a hankering. Um, it started with actually I was watching a streamer on Twitch. I can't actually remember who right now, but they were playing like the Kaizo Iron challenge, and they usually do that on like a Fire Red game,
Oh
which is
yes,
like
that is like the one of the
yeah, it's a big thing.
ultimate Nuzlocke challenges, right?
Yeah, Nuzlocke style challenge for sure. And it now Gen 3 is a pretty old gen considering they're all the way up to Gen 9 now and there's over 1,000 Pokemon.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But like I was like, you know what I haven't done in a long time is I haven't actually played through Pokemon Red, Blue, or Yellow in a long time.
Okay.
That's what got me started, but I didn't play that game. I just want to be very clear. I haven't done that yet because I was like, I'll get to that. I I have those games on my DS. I can literally play them anywhere I want. And I do want to play them. Like that interest right now is there. But then I was like, there's a game I haven't even played for a longer period of time because I've gone back to Red, Blue, and Yellow,
Several times.
within the last in the last like 15 years or whatever, at some point. But I was like, there's a game that is really unique and I haven't played in a long time since it first came out is Spore.
Oh my god. I remember
Spore
when Spore
is,
was announced.
yeah, like it was like the big thing. I want to say it was kind of like maybe like the No Man's Sky of its time in
Yeah,
making like
no,
promises, in making
100%.
like introducing, you know, mind-blowing new gameplay, you know? So I think it's just kind of a seed was planted in there that I was like, perhaps even a sport. That was like, I haven't played this game in a long time. I would like to see how it plays and how it runs. So I downloaded the game again, started it up, and let me tell you, it is everything I remembered, and it is garbage.
Oh my god.
Um, I don't know if there's any younger listeners, but Spore was a game where it is actually still very unique for what it is. It's a creature creator where you make your little dude. They start off as like an amoeba, and you kind
Yeah.
of make your way up and evolve, and then you become a land species, and then you start building civilizations and technologies and develop space travel. It goes that far. Like it's supposed to be this grand scope of development. And basically, I don't think there's a game like that still, but it controls like ass.
Yeah.
It is poorly made.
The well, when you look back at it, there's certain things that were very new technologically to Spore.
Hmm.
The procedural animation and procedural walking animations that a lot of the characters would do. I don't think there was a game that did that before Spore. And even now, a lot of games will do that more for just interpolating where a character's feet should be on like stairs or weird map geometry and things like that. Nothing does it quite like Spore did it still.
Hmm.
And so the jank is understandable, but it is jank.
Yeah. And part of the reason why I like playing old games, not is just because like nostalgia, but I'm like mildly curious sometimes about how well the game will run on my now not so new, but still very powerful computer, as opposed to when it first released and my computer was not top of the line and it was not as powerful. And I wondered if it was comparable in some way. Because back in the day, I had some kind of, oh, I don't remember actually. It was like an AMD Sapphire something. AMD Radeon Sapphire something or other, very small card that probably does 1/20th of what my GPU can do now.
You
So I
are
was like,
being very generous to old graphics cards.
probably.
Probably closer
Um,
to 100th or even 1/500th.
Possible. Actually, that's the way that technology has scaled since even like 2005 is incredible. So that's probably actually much closer to what the level of order magnitude is. But anyways, um, because back in the day, I remember Spore also was kind of jittery and janky in terms of how it ran. It was a little bit graphically buggy. It was, it felt slow at times, but I was like, you know, my computer's not that good. It'll be like I'm just happy it's running at all. I'm happy to have been playing this game at when it released and it was super hype. So I installed this game now and it's just as janky as it was before. So I
Oh my
guess
god.
I guess my computer's just not strong enough.
For real. For real.
Yeah,
Honestly, it comes down to a matter of optimization. And
true.
especially for games that came out in the early 2000s or were designed for computers in the early 2000s. Because the philosophy of what hardware would become was completely different back then. Before Core 2 Duos and things were everywhere, before multi core processors were everywhere, people thought that the progression of technology was just going to be more gigahertz. More gigahertz.
Yeah.
You have 3 gigahertz Pentium 4s. Well, the Pentium 5s are going to be 10 gigahertz.
It
And
hurts so good.
of course, that's not the way that technology progressed. And when
True.
you look at the math behind it, it actually becomes obvious that that couldn't happen. But really old games like Spore and infamously the first Crisis, they were designed with that idea of newer computers will have much faster single core graphics, so we won't make this game for multi core graphics. That's not something that we can target.
Hmm.
If you remember, Team Fortress 2, in its first, I want to say 3 years of life, also didn't target multi core processors. There was an update pretty late in its paid life cycle where they finally brought multi core enhancement, and it was a checkbox that you actually had to turn on. It wouldn't be on by default. But that made the game way better. So yeah, I'm actually not too surprised that Spore still runs like garbage.
Hmm.
But can you imagine? There would be very much modern computers, more modern than yours, that would actually run it worse. If you
Yeah.
built an all Intel system, and I mean like a brand new top of the line Intel CPU with the brand new Intel Battlemage GPUs, it would actually struggle with a game as old as Spore because they do not support the DirectX version that Spore was designed for. It would have to do software emulation and it would struggle.
I mean, I've definitely like I don't look too deep into the tech as much as you know, but like I
You
have a
like to be
cursory
like,
appreciation of
you want
like
to play the game and enjoy the game, whereas I'm here
yeah.
analyzing, being like, if I click this setting, how much does my FPS go up? If I click this setting, how much does my enjoyment go up?
I mean, I'll be honest, the only setting I have to click is set
Max.
quality to yeah, to
For
ultra.
real. For real. That is the best part about old games. You just set it to maximum settings and pray that you're not running it at too high of an FPS.
Oh, true. For people who don't know, games can be tied to FPS,
Oh, yeah.
which means that timing is set to FPS. And what that really means is games can be played like at a really impossibly impossible for humans to process speed, which basically just ups the difficulty of a game to a point where it's like unplayable. Um, it's
Or
funny,
just
but
makes them completely
it's not
break.
useful.
Yeah.
True.
I have
But
in my game dev
adventures.
adventures, thank you. At one point I learned that I could turn off the VSync to my monitor and uncap the frame rate, the maximum frame rate. And so
Yeah.
these games that I were making in libgdx, these very simple 2D games, would start running. They would start running at 1,000, 1,500 frames per second. And something very funny happened at these frame rates. The float values, the mathematical float values that I were using, started getting errors because they would be rounding. They would be so small that the rounding errors would add up and the games would completely break. It was hilarious.
I mean, in that vein, like I said, so on the continuation of my retro game binge, I've went a little deeper than I usually do.
So you went
So
deeper than the cellular level of Spore.
yeah, to me, anyways, I went back in time, you know, and time is irrelevant to the size, shall we say, of the game. And I did install Roller Coaster Tycoon. That's kind of a
Ooh,
standby when I'm in a retro mode. I'm like, Roller Coaster Tycoon is a flavor I enjoy.
the old
I
one from the
like,
90s?
yes, the
The
first
first
one.
one? Oh
I will
my.
either only play Roller Coaster Tycoon or Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 because 3 is the first one that gave you like a 3D park,
Okay.
but it still kept the mechanics of Roller Coaster Tycoon. Some people might be like, I really like Roller Coaster Tycoon too. I'm like, I just don't care about it. I want either the one I really grew up with, or the one I played later on that had like a significant upgrade.
That's valid.
Anyways,
That's fair.
that's on my computer now. I'll play that in a little bit once I get through a discovery that I made in
You made a
my
discovery.
in my hunt for satisfaction.
Okay.
I talked about Pokemon, and that's a base game for a handheld console. We've talked about Spore, and that's not necessarily basic, but I mean it was kind of like a what do you call it?
That was totally a
Like an
casual friendly game.
yeah, but it was like an anchoring game for a certain generation as well, you know?
Okay.
I'm about to hit you with Flash games.
Ooh.
I have never really gone back to looking for like Java what were they called? Shockwave, right?
Shockwave Flash. Yeah.
Shockwave Flash games. Now I feel like a lot of the listeners are from that period and they do know about things like, for example, Newgrounds. They had a lot of games, animations and stuff, of course, too. There's a lot of websites that used to host these games. I don't think there's as many anymore. But if there's anything the nerd collective is great for, it's archiving and
Data hoarding.
like yeah, and hoarding old data, old projects. And I remembered this game that I used to play back in, I want to say junior high. It's called Redline Rumble.
Okay.
It is a basically it's like a Flash version of Need for Speed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I wouldn't mind playing with this for like the next 5, 10 minutes. I'm not gonna get a lot of gameplay out of it, you know what I mean? But I was like, it'll be fun. It was a game that you could actually play against a friend as well. So it was like good times. And I remember there's like a little nitro boost function, and I was like, okay, I'm looking for this game. Maybe a random website will have it. But then a Reddit post pops up and it tells me about Flashpoint. And Flashpoint is a downloadable app that is a Flash game library.
Oh, my lord.
But it's interesting. There's two different installs. So there's one which is like a stream where you basically just access the games from their central distribution, or at the cost of I think it's about 2 gigs. 2 gigs.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Just kidding. I lied. It's not 2 gigs. It is much bigger than that. One moment.
All right. That also makes sense.
I don't know why I said 2 gigs. I know it's more than 2 gigs. Also, it's a Japanese project,
Really?
which I think is really interesting. Um,
Well, you look that up. I want to tell you about my favorite Flash games ever. One of them would
Go
have been
ahead.
obvious. Line
Yeah.
Rider. Line
Oh,
Rider was
classic.
so good.
Absolute classic.
Oh my god. But then one of the goats, one of the greatest Flash games of all time is something called Nanaka Crash. And that was very much like Kitten Cannon on Newgrounds. But the premise was there is this guy. There's this guy that is presumably cheating on a bunch of ladies, and you hit him with your bike and send him flying.
Yes, I remember that now.
Oh yeah, and
That was one of
depending
the
on who you
later.
hit,
That was one of the later Flash games. It was not part of like the new,
that one
like, or
came
sorry,
out
the
when I
oldest,
was
the
in
oldest games.
2003, 2004, when I was solidly
Yeah,
in high
that sounds
school.
about right. That sounds about right.
But depending on who you would hit, like which girls you would land on in what
Yep.
orders, there would be different specials, and it was
Yep.
so fucking good. It was
Yeah,
so
and you
addicting.
you just get launched further and further. Ideally,
Yes.
yes.
My best run on it was something like 20 or 30 kilometers
Nice.
in a
I have
game
no
where you
idea.
usually get like 3 to 400 meters.
Yeah, I have no idea what my record was. I did not keep as close of an eye on it, but it was fun. I do remember it very well. Um, Sorry, back on Flashpoint the app.
Back
So
on
I download
Flashpoint.
Flashpoint 13 Infinity. There's two installers. Infinity is the streaming version
Okay.
because Flashpoint 13 Ultimate lets you download the entire library,
Oh my god.
which is about 1.8 terabytes.
Oh my god. I don't know what I expected, but ooh, that's a
Yeah,
little bit more than 2
that's
gigabytes.
that's a little spicy. Yeah, the install
Only a
is
thousand
the
times
install for
larger.
Infinity. The install for Infinity is about 3.5 gigs apparently, but I was like, I have the space, but I'm not installing every freaking
I
Flash
could
game they've ever
host that.
found.
I could host that on my server,
Yeah,
but I don't want to.
no. But there's a lot of stuff. I like I'm just looking through some of their like Line Rider is here. I
Yeah.
can it's in Quap is here. Bullet
Quap, oh
Time
my
Fighting.
god.
Bullet Time Fighting. Did you ever play that?
I didn't play that one.
It's so good. It's basically Matrix using stickmen.
Oh my god.
Super super fun. It
That
was actually a
reminds me
two-player
of the
game.
different like Madness games. If you remember
Oh, I don't
those
know
on
that.
Newgrounds.
No, never
Okay.
played those unfortunately.
So Madness was
There's
like an
Pandemic.
animation flash animation series. And it was a little bit
Oh,
gory, but it was the kind of animation where you would just have one guy and he would go through an area and just blow up everything with whatever weapons they could get their hands on. Eventually they made a video game around it and it was pretty good.
I'm just I'm so happy this exists. I really don't know how deep I want to go into it because there's only so much. Like, I'm not here to discover more Flash games. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's like a billion of these things, enough to take
There's a
1.8
point at which
terabytes
you want the ones that
that I
give you
played.
the
Yeah,
nostalgia feels. You want the ones
yeah.
that you played back when you were in high school or earlier. Like another fantastic Flash game that I just remembered was called Tanks. And it was basically a Flash version of an older game called Scorched Earth, where you have your tanks and you set a power and an angle and you try to blow each other up. And the maps themselves explode from under your tank. It is fantastic.
Oh, there's Peggle and there's Plants vs Zombies.
Yeah, because those started as Flash games.
Yeah, and there's
Yeah.
what do you call it? Bejeweled. Bejeweled is here,
Oh my.
man.
Damn. That is
I
really old. Didn't
Yeah.
Bejeweled start as like a Facebook profile page game?
I want to say that's where it gained the most traction. I want to say that I think I must have played Bejeweled on MSN Messenger.
Oh.
Do you remember when MSN Messenger in like the last few iterations they introduced games?
Yes, they did. Like there
Yeah.
was competitive Minesweeper. I remember that.
Yeah, I'm now I can't say for sure because, the
It's so
mind is
long
old
ago.
and the timelines get muddled up, but I feel like Bejeweled was also on MSN Messenger.
Yeah. That's valid. That's
I miss
fair.
MSN. It was good times.
They ruined it when they turned it into MSN Messenger Plus.
There was a plus.
Yes. So it went
Ah,
from MSN Messenger to MSN Messenger Plus, which
yeah.
did have some nice features, but it also added a lot of bloat. And then they finally just integrated everything into Skype and made it completely useless.
I see.
The Skype integration is what killed MSN Messenger.
Well, Skype is a whole other thing that I don't care to talk about.
Same. I could talk about it, and I don't want to. You know what I'd rather talk about? Burgers.
No.
Big,
Burger.
juicy burgers. For free. Burgers for free. And all you gotta do is wait outside in negative 20 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, and I was
So-
there too.
You were there too. A couple weeks ago, I think it is as of this episode launching, a week and a half ago, Rosie's Burger Place on 8th Street, I think it is.
Yeah.
They hosted a little giveaway for their grand opening.
Yeah,
They
they're a
decided that
chain
the-
out from out east, I
Oh,
believe.
are they?
Yeah.
I didn't realize. That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
They decided that the first 100 people to show up would get a free Rosie burger. And that very morning, I don't know if it was you who started spreading the news or if it was someone else, but Dio and I pulled ourselves out of bed. We saw free burger, and we were looking at the timeline. We were like, oh my God, we better get dressed and get right over there right away.
I might have been. I do you remember my partner and I were like, there's this thing. Do we want to go? I mean, like, for me, it's not very far away. So I was like, yeah, it's a moseyable distance for sure.
And for us, it was
So-
about a 10-minute walk from me and Dio. It wasn't
Yeah.
bad. I can't remember who said 11 a.m. in the group chat, but that's the timeline that me and Dio latched onto, and it was like 10:40 in the morning. We finally got out the door at 11. We walked over, and it wasn't open yet. There were about 15 people in line, and so we lined up. And there was 45 minutes to go before they
Yeah.
actually opened at 12. You showed up shortly after that. We had another friend from Phoenix, Arizona, show up later in line, and this poor girl, oh my God, she was not ready for Canadian winter. She was in just a hoodie,
Jeans
just jeans, thin
Sneakers.
leather boots.
or was it boots? Yeah,
It was
it was
boots.
Chelsea's.
They weren't going to slip, but they weren't going to be warm either.
No.
And I was legitimately worried that she might lose some fingers and toes. But eventually the line started moving. Burgers were had, and we all went to Jay's to enjoy our burgers and flaunt them at one of our favorite streamers, Girl DM.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And the
It
burgers
was
were
it
quite
was really
tasty.
tasty.
I was
They're not bad. I
pretty
mean, we were
pleased.
out for a little bit, so like we did not have them fresh as prepared. It was probably so it was, a little bit cooler. Everything was not as fresh as it could
Could
be.
have been. I feel like we had maybe 25 minutes of waiting for our other friends who were further in line to
True.
get their burgers.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a tasty burger.
Uh,
And for
the chicken
free?
burger. The
The
chicken
chicken
burger was
burger-
real good.
The chicken burger was really good. They had two different chicken burgers. Unfortunately, they weren't covered under the free deal. I want to go back. I want to go back and try their spicy chicken burger.
You tried. And Dio was like, nah, we have food at home. You got fooded at home.
I did get fooded at home. We were moving the Dio's Camaro to a nice different garage so we could use our own for the other car, for the winter car. And on the way back, I was like, hey, if we feel like spending a little bit of money, we can go back to Rosie's and have those chicken sandos we didn't get to try last time. And unfortunately, Dio hit me with the financially responsible, we have food at home. Which we did, and it was delicious. But point
Yeah.
remains.
I was like, I'm watching the meme unfold in real life.
I
I
ended up
was
making
literally
us
just
some
sitting in the back. I
fantastic
was
salami sandwiches with
oh,
prosciutto on
nice.
them, and then I
That's
grilled
good.
them like grilled cheese. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Rosie's was good, but Rosie's was not the only free food we had.
Yeah,
We had a free food, we had a free lunch weekend because
because
we
Rosie's was on
ended
the
up at
Saturday.
Hunky.
Hunky was
Yeah.
on the Sunday. Hunky, to
Yeah.
celebrate their fourth anniversary here in Calgary, decided that between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m., everybody who showed up would get a free corn dog and a bowl of either the Korean,
Cup bop.
the cup bop. Yeah,
Yeah. It's like a small bowl of bibimbap, essentially.
exactly. And
Yeah.
it's fantastic. Like, Hunky is absolutely great. I love them. Even when we were in Banff a couple of years ago, we were looking for some quick food, and I saw Hunky on a corner in Banff, and I was like, "Have you guys ever tried Korean corn dogs? Let's go to Hunky. It's right there."
I hadn't even had a American corn dog until I think I was in my 20s.
Okay.
We just didn't grow up eating them, and I just like never went out of my way to get one. And I certainly, even though I went to a lot of Stampedes growing up, I was like, there's a corn dog, or like I see corn dog. I'm like, but look at all the other things that aren't corn dogs.
Yeah.
So, uh, but Hunky and Korean corn dogs in general, very tasty, super worth. The line was flowing pretty quickly as well, which was nice. I showed up after you folks arrived, and we didn't get to catch up that time, but we only really waited for about 25 minutes, despite there being probably about 50 people ahead of us at that time.
Yes. Hunky was
Yeah.
an operation. They were a well-oiled
Yes.
machine. So
Yes,
that
they
is,
had they had
I don't want to
like a
compare. I don't really
yeah.
want to compare Rosie's to Hunky right now because I don't think it's fair.
No.
Rosie's, it was their grand opening. It was practically a shakedown test, and they were only
Yes.
giving free burgers to the first 100 people while still
Yeah.
selling all of their other menu items. Honky, on the other hand, they had a well-oiled machine. They had all hands on deck. They were making corn dogs and cup ups specifically, and nothing else.
Yes, but they were also so there was like the whole lineup, there was the condiment section that you would get to, but they still gave you options.
Oh
You could
yeah,
have your corn dog with or without sugar, and then you could either have
the
the fried
Korean
chicken
beef
bop
or the
or the
chibop.
Korean beef. Yeah.
Yeah.
So uh like they were offering,
Out of
variety.
curiosity, did you go for the beef or chicken?
I got the chicken because my partner got the beef. So we
All right, that's fair.
could swap. Yeah.
The
That's
chicken
part of
was
the
really
reason.
good.
They're both really good. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
the corn dog, like we started walking away once we got our stuff, but like halfway down the block, we're eating the corn dog now. Don't want to wait. And corn dogs are best enjoyed,
Very
fresh.
fresh.
So very
It was
good. Such a
fantastic.
good time.
It was wonderful. Oh my god. And now I'm hopelessly addicted. I really am addicted to Honky. I don't go there enough, not enough to let the addiction firmly take root, but every time I walk by I'm like, "Oh, oh, I could go for that ugly potato right now."
I will say I have a bone to pick with Korean corn dogs.
Okay. What is that? I'll hear you out.
Their interpretation of what a corn dog with cheese is offensive.
What? What? Okay, so you're talking about the Korean corn dogs where the dog in the middle is half cheese and half hot dog, right?
Yes, because it's one block of cheese and then one block of hot dog. But instead of hot dog covered with like a cheese layer, like so there's cheese and hot dog throughout every bite. It's if you start at the top, I think they put the cheese at the top.
They usually put the cheese at the top, yeah.
Yeah, so at the top of the stick. So basically, your first few bites, if you only eat in, top to bottom order, they're all cheese and then it's all hot dog.
So, I understand your frustration there because I have had corn dogs where they wrap a piece of American cheese around the corn dog, around the dog itself, and then they
Yeah,
batter it. And that
yeah,
is fantastic. That is wonderful. But the difference there is you have to change your way about it. The cheese dog is less a cheese corn dog and more half cheese stick, like mozzarella stick,
yep,
and half hot dog.
yep.
That is the mindset that you have to go into it with. And I understand if that's not what you want,
No,
but I think it has rights.
I rebuke their idea and your explanation.
I I think you're being too picky. I think you're being too picky, and I appreciate
Look,
our massive cheese dog
if
overlords.
I invited you to have some banana bread and I gave you a slice of Wonder Bread and a banana, would that be good enough for you?
No, the difference in this example would be
They call it a cheese corn dog. That is the name.
the difference in this
Integration is
example
implied.
wouldn't be a
Integration
banana
is
wrapped
implied.
in Wonder Bread because that is different. It would be a banana and then Wonder Bread, completely separated, but perhaps cooked in the same way.
I'm giving you a banana and Wonder Bread. Not even white Wonder Bread. I'm giving you whole wheat for your
Oh no,
transgressions.
not whole wheat. What will I ever do?
Poop well.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the only food sort of thing going on in Calgary that weekend. If I remember
No.
correctly, that was right before the last day of an omurice promotion in Dragon City Mall.
Yeah, there was like a omurice pop up. My partner really wanted to go, so we went, and we didn't get it. We sat
No.
down. We got there. We sat down. So they do this thing where they do like a lunch opening, and then they also do a dinner opening. So like they go from, I want to say like it's 11:30 to 2:30 or something like that, and then they have like another open at maybe 4:30 or 5:30 or something until close. We got there for lunch, and there appeared to be no real line, like not a extensive line waiting for seats. So um, my girlfriend got there first, and she sat down and was waiting for me. And then they were like, she didn't get a lot of service because it's a small place. I want to
Yeah.
like iterate that it's a very small place. It's literally a counter. It's probably more well suited to be like a ramen place in a sense that, you know, you see like those seated at a counter and then, you know, there's a small kitchen, they're just doing, you know. And anyways, their whole thing is that they normally do Japanese shaved ice with fruits, and that's actually pretty good, but they actually take quite a while for an order of that, usually like 10 minutes to make the shaved ice. In fairness, the shaved ice is not just like a little cup, it is like a mountain of shaved ice and fruit and syrup. So you get like, it's a good value proposition.
Okay.
For the omu rice, though, they're not kitted out to be a real kitchen. They are, like I said,
Understandable.
they're actually really small. I don't think they even have like stove tops. They really just have, I think, portable stoves. You know, like
Okay.
they're working with it's a lot of it's very little space operation wise, so they can only fit so many people in the back using so much equipment, which is very little equipment, to fulfill. I think there's like 14 seats. But because cooking takes a while, uh, when my girlfriend sat down and there was no line, she overheard that it was going to be a 40-minute wait
Oh my god.
upon sitting, which is quite a lot
Oh
for
no.
omu rice, which to me is mostly a novelty because it's a visual novelty. You can make if you can make a decent omelet or scrambled egg at home, and then also white rice or fried rice. Sometimes some variations come with fried rice.
Yeah.
You can make it at home for less than like $3.
For real.
Yeah. If you're willing to put in the extra work and make like a sauce, like a demi-glace, that's a little different thing. But I just want to point out it's not the most extravagant dish in the world. And to like further cement my sort of uh indifference to this whole thing,
You have had some of the best omurice in the world.
kind of like I'm not saying it wasn't like loaded with truffles and caviar or something like that, but I had like the sort of famous
You had the TikTok rice.
omurice. Yeah, I had the tuk tuk
Not
rice.
exactly TikTok, but like the very Instagrammable omuraisu
Yeah,
that was
I went to
everywhere.
Kichi Kichi. Yeah,
Exactly.
he's the omurice man. I went
He's
on
the
the
omurice
39th
master.
anniversary. He was a little loaded. He was telling us, he's like, you guys are the last seating of the night. It's the 39th anniversary. We're all a little drunk right now. And we're like, yay.
That sounds fantastic. That sounds like the best way to go.
Yeah.
My favorite omurice in Japan. So it was myself and Dio and two other friends. Two other friends. We were sitting down in an izakaya. We had two drinks, and so Dio was feeling a little bit loopy, as well as a couple of other friends. We were all solidly buzzed. When suddenly Nancy messages us and is like, "Oh my god, guys, I found this omurice place in Shinjuku Station." Now, the thing about Shinjuku Station is it is difficult to navigate under
It
best
is a
conditions.
maze. They
So
took
we
all the efficiency, all of the inefficiencies of the JR system and crammed them into one station.
for real. For real.
Everything else efficient, on time, easy to navigate, multiple languages, and then there's Shinjuku Station.
To be fair, Shinjuku Station still runs on time. It's just your
Oh,
problem
yes.
of finding where you're supposed to go.
Yes. Yeah, finding a platform or finding another destination, have fun with that.
Oh, yeah. So, from when we paid our bill at the one izakaya to walking to the train station, getting on the train, getting to Shinjuku Station, drunkenly stumbling around Shinjuku Station looking for this omurice place, and then getting our omurice was less than 40 minutes.
Nice.
And it was really good omurice. I had like a risotto omurice. It was delicious.
I would love to see because like Japanese really like to fuse, especially like foreign foods. I would love to see like a truffle or mushroom risotto omurice.
Mine
That
was
would
a
be to
wild
me.
mushroom risotto omurice.
Ooh,
It was
I want
very
that.
good. It was very good.
hell yeah, that's rich.
It's rich.
It's a good. I will say that's a good prize for what amounts to essentially an escape room experience for you
For
navigating
real.
to it.
Oh my god. We were in Shinjuku Station. We had Google Maps out and it was moving all over the place because we're underground. Of course it's not going to have GPS signal. It is trying to position us based on the Wi-Fi signals around.
Yeah.
But we found the omurice and we got the omurice and it was delicious.
Yeah. But speaking of the pop-up in Calgary, I know that still they extended it was very popular. So they're extending it until sometime in the spring, I think. So there's more chances to go. We'll go. In the meantime, I think I'm gonna actually try to make it at
Yes.
home. Even if I don't make like a great approximation, I can make some decent scrambled eggs. Okay?
Yeah.
I can make a decent omelet. Just
Absolutely
say.
you can. And
So
quite frankly, I think you have the genes to make a decent fried rice.
what does the pants have to do with it?
Exactly.
Is the pants the secret?
The pants are the secret.
Oh,
And there's
the
more
parents are the
secrets just like that on next week's episode of the Otafest podcast.
awesome. See you
Awesome.
there.